This would be helpful if I muted myself. Okay. Good morning, or I'm sorry, good afternoon, everybody. Today has gone by very quickly, so to me, it's still the morning. My name is Marissa. I will be your moderator for this afternoon session. Your presenter will be Angela Milversted. Is that correct? Awesome. And before I turn it over to her, I just have some introductory slides to share with all of you. Again, welcome to Google Camp. And also please be sure to connect with us via social media on Twitter / hashtag IE Google Camp. And if you need any assistance during the session, please refer to the help desk, or also please feel free to post your questions or concerns into the chat room. I will do my best to monitor that. And today's session is digital choice boards via Flipgrid. And also for this session, as well as your other sessions that you're attending with us between today and tomorrow, please be sure to provide your feedback to us. We'd love to hear your comments and suggestions. And I think that is going to wrap it up for me. I'm going to stop sharing here. Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Angela. And let me start sharing my screen with you guys. And I want to go here and present. All right, give me a thumbs up if you can see that. All right, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move my little taskbar around a little bit so I can see better. All of you guys too. So I'm not sure how many of you were able to access the presentation beforehand, but in order to understand the power of digital choice boards, I wanted you actually to participate in one, kind of like as an adult learner student. So there's a couple ways you can access it. If you go to this bit.ly, and Marissa, if you could drop the bit.ly into the chat for me or type it in there, that way people can access the presentation itself. And then if you, this is slide 1, and if you skip to slide 2, you'll see a sample digital choice board that I put together for you guys. And if you want to kind of like click and kind of like see the different activities I put together for you, I called it Silver Linings. Because there are some silver linings in what we are experiencing right now as teachers and as family members and as adults and friends. So if you wanted to take a minute and kind of look through those, then we can do that. If you have Flipgrid on your phone, then you can go into the app and you can simply scan the QR code and you can do that as well. So I wanted to give you guys just a chance to maybe do one of the activities really quick. And I don't want to spend too much time doing it. But if you just want to kind of click around and see what it looks like from a student perspective, then let's maybe give like 1 minute for that, Marissa, maybe. Keep me on track, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. All right, thank you. So for those of you that are here, I'm going to go ahead and go to the second slide here, just so that you guys can kind of see what it looks like. So here I have an activity on self-care. What have you done, that really others could learn from that has helped you in providing self-care for yourself during this time? So much time, so much to do is one based on maybe a new hobby that you developed during this time. Home improvement is something that you've done around the house that's really, like a home improvement type project or something that you've done to spruce up your home. Family bonding time. So what's something that you've done that has brought you close to your family? If you've been reading, if you have a book recommendation, what is it? Go ahead and share it with us. So if we all want to join in and read that book too, then we can. Iron Chef, what new meals have you learned to cook that your family's really enjoyed? A bucket list. Sometimes when we have a change in our lives, then we make it a priority to do something on our bucket list. And although several avenues were closed off to us with the state closures, then other things may, when one door closes, a window opens. So maybe you found an opportunity to check something off of your bucket list. Shop local. This one's really important to me. If you were able to go out and, either shop somewhere that's local or, get food to go from a great restaurant, if you want to make that recommendation to others. And if you're an experienced user of Flipgrid, you know that you can add a title. So if you want to add the name of the city up across the top of your video, then we'd be able to see oh, there's a great restaurant in Chino, or oh, there's a great restaurant in Riverside. So if you want to do that one, that'd be great for us. And then of course, with my passion for ed tech, what is your favorite tech tool that you've learned how to use that you would recommend that other people try out as well? So that is kind of like the little, choice board here for you guys. And of course, depending on what grade level you teach, you might want to set up your choice boards a little bit differently. So for this, I might ask students or, my adult learners to complete, 100 points by Friday, July 24th. And obviously I've made the more difficult ones where you have to provide links or, do a little bit more extra work worth more points. So if you want to participate, you can. And if you earn 100 points by Friday, I will get in touch with you and send you a little gift. So we'll do that. Let me go ahead and Marissa, how are we doing on time? Should I get started?
I was going to just say perfect timing. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I click into it. There we go. Okay. So about me. So my name is Angela. I am a wife. I have a mom of 3 kids. They'll be going into 5th grade, 2nd grade, and kindergarten. So our home is really busy right now. I go on Twitter whenever I can to learn from others. So if you ever want to follow me on Twitter, then I can follow you back and I can see the great things that you're doing as well. Right now, I'm an instructional coach for the elementary curriculum department. I've been doing that for the last 6 years and the time's really flown by. Before that, I was a classroom teacher. I was, again, silver lining. I was hired in that time where they were hiring and then laying off and rehiring and laying off. So I taught 6th grade for 4 years, then 1st grade for 4 years, then kindergarten, and then a couple of years in 4th grade as well before I became an instructional coach. So silver lining is that all those grade levels really help prepare me for the job that I have right now. So session goals are to discuss best practices for choice boards. We'll be looking at videos from Flipgrid and how we can add the process and student thinking and illuminating student thinking to just a product that they might turn in digitally to you. And then looking at some of the design elements that you'll want to consider based on your grade level or your content area for digital choice boards. So my silver lining is that my husband had to take some furlough days every month. So after the first ones in April, he was tired of being cooped up in the house. So I said, let's find some ways to get outdoors. So we went to Zion National Park, which I haven't been to in like 30 years and he'd never been before. So we went, there's a picture of him and I. We took our kids with us, but we didn't have a group picture of all of us together with a background like that. So I wanted to share that one. And then the other silver lining is that my kids have really become closer because we haven't had all like the evening activities that we used to with dance class and Cub Scouts and speech therapy and all those things that used to take us away from each other. We've now had, my kids are closer. So that kind of my silver lining was more time with my family and being able to, take something off my bucket list. So I wanted to share that with you guys before we start. All right, we're going to jump right into breakout rooms. Not quite yet, let me go over directions first. So your discussion questions in your breakout rooms are going to be, what are the strengths of providing choice boards for your students? What are some of the challenges that you anticipate or challenges that you faced with either digital choice boards or traditional choice boards in your classrooms? And then as a group, you can brainstorm some solutions to those challenges. Maybe somebody in your group will have a great idea, or maybe you'll be having a whole list of challenges and maybe we can all work on those challenges together. Because again, the smartest person in the room is the room. So we can all work together on ideas that will help each other. So when you guys go into breakout rooms, I'm trying to keep them small so everyone has an opportunity to share. And I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves with your name, the role that you have in your district, and then one of your silver linings from this new normal. And in your group, so I've chosen three jobs. So there might be 5 people in your group, or there might be 3, or there might be 2. But you can have a facilitator timekeeper to keep an eye on those 8 minutes. A recorder who's actually going to type onto a slide. We're going to have a collaborative Google Slides files so that we can all kind of look and review each other's ideas and suggestions. And then a reporter, we won't have time to hear from every single group, but I'll randomly call group numbers, and I'd like that reporter to be ready to just share one thing that they found was really important from the group. So if you are in the presentation itself, you can click on the link here. Marissa, if you want to drop it into the chat as well so that people can open up that document. So you're basically going to have about, I said 8 minutes, depending on time, we may have to cut it a little bit shorter than that. But we're going to have some group time. Let me show you what this will look like when you open it. So I've allowed for 40 groups. I'm not sure how many groups we're going to end up with. But again, group 1 will be on the slide 1. Group 2 will be on slide 2. Group 3 will be on slide 3. Group 4 will be on slide 4. And then there's just chart setups that you guys can document the strengths that you talk about, the challenges, and the solutions that you brainstorm together. Okay. Marissa, are we ready to go?
Sorry, I wasn't able to copy the link in the chat.
Are you, here, let me see if I can do it. Or someone else wants to get there before me. Sorry, I have to drag windows around. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, guys.
And then we have about 155 participants. So I know you wanted to keep the groups.
So maybe do 4. Yeah.
Copy that. Okay. All right. And, okay.
And then just make a note of your group number when you get the invite for it.
All right. We're a go for the rooms, right? Just to make sure. Yep. Okay.
Okay. And Marissa, how long will they have?
Let's see here. Whoops. I'm so sorry. I don't think I did that correctly. I think I accidentally exited out of all of the rooms.
All right, guys, sorry, we're going to try putting you guys in breakout rooms again. Hold on a second.
I'm seeing where I can add the rooms, but it's not giving me like an allotted time. It's already counting down from 40 seconds.
I don't have access to the breakout room, so I can't do that.
Hello?
Okay, so we're allowing
our breakout room.
Yeah, we all got pulled back of the breakout rooms. It had the wrong timing, so we're trying the breakout rooms again. Hold on a second.
Okay, I'm so sorry. We're allowing about, how many minutes do you want, Angela?
Let's go ahead and go for 8.
My friend.
Okay, here we go. Fifth time's a charm.
Hey everybody, welcome back from your breakout rooms. We'll wait a few minutes for people to get back in. It looks like most everybody's coming back in. All right. So it looks like, let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. And get back over here. So if you notice, we now have a collaborative document where you can go in and out of each other's groups and see what some of the successes are, what some of the challenges are. And you guys can, learn from each other. Because again, the smartest person in the room is the room. So I wanted to provide that common collaborative document for us so that we can refer to it and share it with our colleagues that we work with that maybe weren't able to attend this session. So that's available for you guys. I do want to, I guess it works out that we had 4 groups. I could just pick one person, call groups in order. And if we could just have one person share, something from their group discussion that they thought was really powerful, that would help others. So if we have a reporter from group 1, if they can unmute themselves and then share something from their group. It was a little bit confusing with the breakout rooms, so we may not have anybody, have decide on those roles. So I'm looking at I'll go with the first challenge then. Too many options can overwhelm students. Absolutely, especially if it's set up as a grid, then grids can be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do first. Do I have to do everything? So really considering your grade level and your students and what they're able to do. And you might even see your progression of, of digital choice boards kind of change throughout the year as well. So keep it with them in terms of their learning would be a solution. I would recommend start with something simple and then you can expand as you become more comfortable with it. Do we have somebody from group 2 who'd like to share?
Hi, Angela.
Hi.
We were talking a lot. I think a lot of us had experience with Flipgrid and with choice boards, but not using them together. So we were really interested to hear more about how to fuse those 2 things together. And what else?
Is there maybe like a challenge and a solution that your group was able to brainstorm that you can share with us?
Well, one of the challenges we talked about, which I don't have a solution for, is just devices. Like some people said it was easier when they were home because kids could like go use their parents' phone. And then other people said it's easier at school. So everybody was kind of mixed. I guess it just depends on what kind of resources you have at your fingertips. Like some people don't have one-to-one devices. So when you're in the classroom, you don't have a lot of devices to use it. But that was one of the bigger challenges we talked about.
Absolutely. I think
again, I don't have a solution for that.
No, but thank you for sharing. All right, let's go on to group 3. We have a reporter for group 3 that wants to share.
I'll jump in if nobody.
No, go ahead, please. Thank you.
So I personally haven't used, I've used choice boards. I haven't used Flipgrid. Some of my group kind of most have already used one or the other. One of our challenges is managing groups and the comments. some of our solutions is muting comments until we teach, or until we show the expectation of how to comment responsibly. And background noise, just, you know, having our students be aware of when they're recording themselves. And that's all. I mean, we didn't get very much done. We kind of took some time introducing ourselves.
Well, and as we know, when we're working in groups, especially digitally, that's important to do. So I want to make sure that you guys have that time. Thank you for sharing. Can we go to somebody from group 4 who'd like to talk about something that their group was focused on?
So we thought some of the strengths were good in terms of universal design for learning. So kids could use their strength, pick a choice, make a choice of what they would like to do and what interests them, increasing student engagement. And then challenges was if they're at home and the parents can't help, but then we thought we could make videos. Teachers can make short screencastifys, but then we'd also need it translated into Spanish or for some of us.
So, and remind me later on to share out where students can have the closed captioning on their videos, and then Microsoft's Immersive Reader will translate those captions in their own language. Yeah. So it's a really great feature that they just started last year, about a year ago. They rolled that out. So little preview of one of the great tools that Flipgrid has.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that is super important because sometimes I can't find a translator on campus to even call parents. So this would be an option, right?
Yes, it is. Yep. All right, I'm going to get back to our presentation. Thank you for everyone for participating in your groups and sharing out some ideas.
Angela, really quick, a question
some of the features for supporting all learners with diverse needs. There's a lot of things to consider. So one of them, if you teach elementary school, you've probably used word walls in the past. Sometimes it is, you know, a list of sight words, or sometimes it's thematic with vocabulary, but you usually have that resource for students. And again, when students have that visual reminder of words that they are supposed to be talking about, then they will talk about them. And I was actually at a professional development session about 6 months ago where they said that student-generated word walls actually have more engagement with students than if the teacher just puts the words up on the wall and says, oh, here's our math vocabulary words for this week. Remember to use them when we're talking and when we're doing our work this week in math. When the teacher says, you know, our topic is going to be geometry. What words do you think we should put up on our word wall? And then this, you know, a couple days later, are there any other words that we need to add into our word wall? So it becomes student generated, and that really increases student engagement. So there's lots of digital, you know, word walls that you can put together, even collaborative ones where students can add their own words in. They can add pictures to it, and they can, you know, craft their own sentences. They can, you know, make a copy and create their own. So there's lots of different ways that you can engage students with the vocabulary that they'll need in order to be successful in their learning. So something else that really helps students is sentence frames. So again, we usually use, you know, sentence frames with our English learners or to help kids get started. But there is, you know, the need, if you're going to have students speaking about their work, to help them until they're ready to speak on their own. So that's another built-in support that you can craft. You can actually type into your Flipgrid topic, you know, you can start your sentence with, and then you can give them the sentence frames as needed. So one of the things that's a little bit harder to do in an all online virtual environment is giving kids that think, pair, share time. You know, anytime that you give students, you know, a task that you want them to do or some sort of project or an assignment, just talking to somebody gets their juices flowing. So when we're looking at having both synchronous time and asynchronous time, a lot of these Flipgrid activities and assignments students can be doing, you know, asynchronously. They can be doing it at their own pace, but really trying to find that time, even if it's just a couple minutes, to put them into breakout rooms or working in small groups and letting kids talk to each other before they even start working gets everybody's creative juices going. And, you know, sometimes they get new ideas from their peers and actually enhances their work. So next I want to move into some of the features that Flipgrid has that will help students as well. So one of the things you can do within Flipgrid as the educator in charge of the grid and in charge of the topics is you can say how much time you want their videos to be. So sometimes when you give students the full time of 5 minutes, and they just talk on and they spin in circles because they think they have to use all of that time. So sometimes you might want to limit it to a shorter amount of time. Limiting it to a shorter amount of time, some students will have a struggle with that because they are not concise speakers. And there might be opportunities for you to kind of nudge students into, okay, watch your video, let's try and re-record that again. You can give them that option and that support. I talked a little bit about the immersive reader. And if you teach kindergarten, first grade, if you have English learners, you have kids who struggle to read, you're gonna love this because whatever you type in for the prompt, they can click on the immersive reader button and they can have it read aloud to them, which is absolutely great. Then they can also have it translated so that it will not only translate the text into their native language, but it will also read aloud to them in their native language. So this is some really great tools that are in Flipgrid that will really help your students be successful. And then there is feedback, a variety of different ways that teachers can give feedback to their students. And I'll go over that in a little bit later in one of the other slides.
Angela, there's a question.
Go ahead.
Is immersive reader integrated into Flipgrid?
Yes. Yep. Automatically there. It was added last summer. That's really great. Yeah, thank you. Good question. All right. So we'll get into how to create the actual tasks themselves and which kind of assignments might make better tasks than others. But when you are looking at Flipgrid itself, there are some different places where you can add in some of those supports that we talked about. So I'm going to go through what it will look like when you set up the task, when you set up your topic in Flipgrid. So first, a title. So depending on your own students, you might want to create either a catchy title or one that is very specific and tells them exactly what they're going to be doing, being very explicit with the topic. So again, depending on your students in the age level or things like that, you might want to consider if it's going to be creative or more explicit. The prompt, this is where whatever you type in here, they can use the immersive reader and have it translated. So whatever you type in here, if you want students to use a sentence frame, I always type it in here. If I tell, these are the directions basically. So if I tell them, I want you to, complete your reading log and then submit it with a link, and in your video, talk about your favorite part of the story. So I will put all the directions in the prompt here because that's where they can actually have it read aloud to them and have it translated. Everything they need to know is right there. So then looking at recording time, we talked about that, how you can vary that. Video moderation is really important. So when the stop sign, when this hand is up and the stop sign is on, so if this is turned to green, it means that no one else can see the videos besides you until you release it for public viewing so the other students can see it. So for example, if you want just to be able to hear what students are thinking about their work and you don't want the other kids to hear that, then you would turn that on. If you want students to be able to see their each other's videos, so if you have them do a book recommendation or have them talk about something fun that they did with their family, then you would leave that off. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but basically moderation on means that no one else can see them until you release them. The focus here. So this is an interesting, like one of my favorite parts about Flipgrid is that they have all these different ways that you can engage students. So if you had a chance to look at the one that I gave you guys, I used a GIF for every single one because I think that they're fun and they're engaging, but you can put an emoji, you can put in a YouTube video that talks about, let's say that you're talking about, science and life cycles or food webs, then you can find a video and they can watch that first, and then they can do their work from there. It integrates with a whole bunch of the other programs. I saw that, somebody's actually doing a session on Wonderopolis. So you can integrate with that. It integrates with Newsela, it integrates with Kahoot. So you can put those things in there and those can be built in ready for them. So it's one less click for them to do. You can record your own video. So if you would rather speak your message and show kids examples, like, you know, this is one way that you can do, you know, your science report, you know, then you can record your own video for them and they can watch that. So that's a powerful tool as well for students to be able to connect with you when you're giving an assignment the same way that you would in the classroom, rather than just being texted, you know, like verbal messages and things like that. If you have a whole bunch of assignments that you're doing and you want to use them over and over again, then you can create your own video, store it on your computer, you can upload a video. So again, lots of different options for engaging your students. Then next important thing, down at the bottom, there we go. Oh, hold on, where'd it go? I'm sorry, getting through my screen now. There we go. It should see, I've got controls all over the place, I can't see. Is there a little green highlight one right there? Did that go yet? So down at the bottom, yeah, there it is. It says more options. Please click on that when you're setting up your tasks, when you're setting up your topics, because then you get all of these choices as well. Topic tip, you can type in more help and more support for your students. These topic attachments. So if you teach upper grade and you want your students to read 2 News ELA articles and compare and contrast the author's point of view, you can put in links for both of those here. And again, put in the directions that you want them to read both and how you want them to respond and what work you want them to turn in. So that's really important here, these extra attachments, these extra links that you can give them. All right, there we go. All right. Topic status, you can set things up ahead of time and have launch dates so that it doesn't show up in their grids or in their topics until you want them to. And then this section is really important, the video features. There's a whole bunch of on and off switches that you can do here. So the first one, you can have students put like stickers and, you know, emojis all over either their selfie at the end, which is like kind of like that still image that they'll see, or you can have them do it during their videos as well. You can turn, you know, one of them on, the other one on, all of that off. Until students get really comfortable with the flow, I recommend stickers on their selfies only, because they can spend, you know, they can spend, you know, 1 minute creating a video and then 1 hour trying to put stickers all over their video. And, you know, students are gonna be as pressed on time as the rest of us are these days. So I recommend that you change this one to only selfies until you're comfortable with having students being able to decorate their whole videos. Over here, I want to talk about the view count. As a default, this is turned on. And this will actually let students see how many times their video has been seen. So when we're talking about how students feel, if they see that somebody's video has been seen 30 times and somebody else's video has been seen 3 times, until I have a chance to talk about that with students and make sure that, oh, if you've seen that somebody else's video doesn't have a lot, you know, please watch their video because they've got something really great to offer. Until you can have those conversations, I recommend starting the year with the view count off. So right now it is off because it's grayed out. So that's my personal recommendation. But again, work with your students in your age groups to make that decision for yourself. But I wanted to bring that up. Over here, attachment link. If you want this to be a digital choice board where students are not only submitting a video, but they're submitting an online link to their work, you need to have that on. By default, it is on, but I wanted to point it out to you. If you turn it off, students cannot attach links to their work. Okay. The likes are automatically turned off. Same thing, you know, if students see that their video has less likes than somebody else, then that doesn't really build that positive culture that we're looking for. So that's that one. And then student to student replies. If your videos are moderated and no one else can see them, then they can't reply to them. But if the videos are visible, then they can reply to each other. Default is on. If you don't want them to reply to each other, but you want them to see each other's videos, you can turn that off. So again, lots of choices, and Flipgrid was well designed so that teachers have all these kinds of choices as to what works best for each and every assignment or task that they're doing. For feedback, you can create custom feedback. So you can, over here on the right, you can actually create your own criteria, and you can say like what number scale you want it to go to. You can have 1, you can have 4. So this custom criteria is really great, especially because I heard one of the groups mention talking about, you know, the grading that's involved. And if you just had a simple rubric that you could score really quickly, that would help a lot with our grading. I didn't highlight it, but down at the bottom, you can save your choices and make that your default so that it's ready to go for next time. So those are some of the choices that you can have when you're setting up your topics. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about this concept of product and process. So I put together a list of, tasks or assignments that, teachers might give their students based on their age group. And then what questions or how can we get students to talk about the process and not just turning in products and turning in products and turning in products. Because that's the part that we're really going to miss about being live with students in the classroom, is watching them work, hearing them think, and helping them get through what they're struggling with. So for example, in kindergarten, it might be a task on your digital choice board to practice writing your name. And, it might be, practice writing it, 5 times, practice writing it in different colors, do the rainbow writing, do it on the sidewalk with chalk. There's all these different ways that we could do that. And if students just simply take a picture of it and turn that in, we don't really see the process. We don't hear them thinking. You could look at when my youngest is going into kindergarten. So sometimes when she writes her name, she writes it from right to left. So she starts at the end of her name and then writes it backwards. If she were to just simply turn in her practice, her teacher wouldn't be able to see that. So being able to record that, make a video showing me how you write your name, or write your name and tell me how you spell your name. So those are the kinds of things that we can think about that would really engage students, that we can hear their thinking. Record yourself reading a book to me. There might be no other links attached with that. It might just simply be a book so that you can hear kids read. Here's one for 1st and 2nd grade. Write as many number sentences, if you call them equations, as you can with the number 20. Again, if a student just, types them out or takes a picture of their, written work and turns it in, then we don't really hear their thinking. I would like to know, are my students using strategies to do that? Is there an order to it? I might be able to see that they did 1 plus 19, 2 plus 18. I'm able to see that, or their minds could be going in a million different directions and there might not be a visible pattern. So if I can hear students explaining their work, then that's an assessment tool that I can use to help drive my instruction. We talked about this one, I talked about this one a little bit earlier, filling out a reading log, right? So if you've got, Google Slide, or you've got a Google Doc, or if you does like a Google form where students are just, documenting their reading, then they're just documenting their reading and they're not really engaging or thinking about it after they do it. So if you were to have them fill out the reading log and tell you about their favorite part, or what part of the story would you change, talk about how the setting changed and how that made a difference to the character. So you can have them engage and talk about the story, which makes it more meaningful for them. A 4th grade one, if you were a lizard, which habitat would you live in and why? So again, students can just type a report, but then you won't really get to hear their thinking, or you can ask, so a prompt might be, if you ask them, what research did you do? What websites did you visit to learn about the different adaptations? So if you ask them questions for their video, then they can create their video answering those questions that you would ask them in the classroom, and then they can also submit their work by attaching that link. 4th grade one, write a diary entry as if you were Native American in a California mission. Again, it's just the writing that you just see the product and you don't hear their process. A 5th grade one, create a presentation that shows how the geosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and our atmosphere interact. Again, that's a presentation, but you don't hear their thinking. So all of these things that we would want to be live in the classroom for, Flipgrid gives us a lot of opportunity, which I think is why it's such a great tool for distance learning and for hybrid learning. With that process and product, it's important to note that first students are going to create their video and then they attach the link. And I'll show you what that looks like. So after I've created my video, there's how I turn in my video. I can create a title with it, and there's where they put their link. So that's an important step when you're teaching students how to do this. If you want them to attach their work to their video, this is what it will look like for them. Let me check in with Marissa. Anything I need to go over really quick before I jump into this section?
I think the attendees are helping out each other by pitching and answering some questions as well, that people are a lot more knowledgeable than I am. So I thank you very much. So I think we are okay.
Okay, all right. Looks like we're running short on time, so I'll just speed through this as quick as I can, and I'll just show you. So here are some of the things that you can do when you're looking at a student's video. You can type in a message up here that everyone will be able to see, or if you don't type anything at all, it just looks blank. So you can do that. It's optional. You can do that or not. Here is where you can relay reply for everyone to see. When students attach a link, you'll see this globe. This is really important because it doesn't like show up as like a document. So this means that the student has attached a link, and that's where you can access their work. You can share their video out with other people. You can give them video feedback where you record and they're the only ones who can see it, versus the reply, which everyone can see. The grading, we talked about that, where you customize it. You can leave points here. You can have just a single item or two. You can have written comments that they can read, and then students can access it through their own, like, when they log into Flipgrid, they can see, their videos and the feedback, or you can copy feedback links and send it to them. You can also take some of the best videos and you can make what they call a mixed tape, which puts several of the clips together and becomes one that you can just share out. So if you want kids to share out book recommendations, they can do that, and you can create one video that goes to everybody so they don't have to click on each video. So that's really neat as a teacher to be able to share what students are doing. Design options. So I just see a simple list here. It looks more like a menu, and having kids, do a certain number of points. That's again for kids who would be able to add up the number of points they would need to complete either during a unit, during a week, during a month, however you structure it. Here's an example of the kindergarten one. Again, the directions aren't clear on there, that, complete 5 of these in 1 week, complete 1 each day. So when you're creating your own, please make sure that you put the directions up on there so that parents can see them and kids can see them and be reminded of what am I supposed to be doing. And again, make sure it's a choice board, not a here's 20 days, here's 20 activities, do every single one. That really, it lets them choose when to do it, but it takes away some of their choice as to what they prefer to do. And that's important that we're going to have for student engagement. We need to consider that. Here's a tic-tac-toe where they have to get 3 in a row. So you can kind of structure, like if you want them to do a certain activity, you can say you have to do an X or you have to do a plus symbol. So there's different ways to negotiate that. Or you could do it a little bit more complex for upper grade. Here's 1-point activities across the top, 2-point activities across the middle, 3-point activities across the bottom, and you must earn 5 points. So there's no way that they could actually, just do single-point activities. So you can structure those point systems really well. Okay, so I'm not going to read the steps, but this is how I do it, is I create the tasks first, and then I create them in Flipgrid, and then I get the share, and I create the hyperlinks like that. So that's super fast, and that's all about hyperlinks, but it's there. There are 2 helpful Flipgrid documents. If you are kind of new to Flipgrid, the Getting Started one is really short, and the Educator's Guided Flipgrid goes over a lot more than what I've just talked about. It's like 40 pages, but it's got a table of contents. So you can click through and look for certain things. So in the collaborative document, I put the link down here again. The last slide, which is now slide 5. If you want to build a digital choice board, you can. And then you can, share with us. And if you want us to be able to comment and give you feedback, then you can do that. So let me show you guys that really quick. Sorry, it's not loading very quickly. So on slide 5, if you want to put your name, your grade level, your contact in the view link, then we can start sharing with each other if you just want feedback, or if you're okay with, sharing out what you're doing and letting people take that and adapt, then this is an easy way for you to do that. So just share if you're feeling comfortable and you'd like other people to be able to use their work and adapt it and change it, make a copy of their own. So that's available for you guys as a resource too, if you'll be able to do that. So this collaborative document will always be here for you guys. Let me see, let me go back here. Really quick, there's some additional resources that are hyperlinked here. Some tutorial videos about how to access some of the other features within Flipgrid, including a whiteboard for math so that kids can actually write and talk as they're doing their math problems. And then again, thank you guys for joining my session. Sorry that I ran over a little bit. Here's my contact information, clickable email address. I'd love to connect with you guys on Twitter. And if we can get a copy of the chat, then I can try and do some of the questions. I know you guys have to get ready for the rest of your day. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Angela.
Welcome.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks so much, Angela.
Thank you, guys. It's nice to see some of you.
It's nice to see you.
Right. Have a great day, everyone. Angela, thank you. You're an awesome presenter. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Very welcome.